You're listening to Unfiltered, real talk about sex and love with Ashley
and Heather. And on today's episode, we're going to talk more about the lasting effects of betrayal trauma.
All right, well, let's just jump right in. First question is, my husband is making great progress in his recovery, attending group sessions and trauma counseling, but I'm struggling to catch up. I've had trouble finding a counselor and I don't have a group, though we both attend an intensive. He sometimes dismisses my concerns like he did with his mom, and it's making me hesitant about a trip we have planned. Should I push through and go, or is it okay to honor my feelings and hesitation? Okay, so we actually did just have this question before, and we've done an episode on this before. We do not think that you need to push through and go on the vacation if you're feeling triggered, traumatized, you don't want to. I mean, a vacation in itself is supposed to be recharging, refreshing, relaxing. It's not supposed to be something that you just check the box because you're supposed to do it, especially when it costs a lot of money, which then it's like you're paying money to not feel recharged, but just feel more triggered. So no, you do not have to go on a vacation if you're feeling that way. I hate that you don't have a group because I just want you to have that support and that connection with other women. And so I would wonder, is there a way to be able to find a group, whether it's local or take that vacation money and use it to pay for an online group? The online group experience is very, very good. And I'm glad you guys have, been through an intensive, but that's still different than having a group of women who can walk alongside you and a leader who's been there and knows the way, and they can support you for the whole 8 to 10 months that you're in group through all these challenges and feelings and needing to find your voice and figure out what boundaries are okay and all those questions that you might have. And so I would say, no, maybe you say, we're not going to go on vacation. We're going to take the time and resources to plug into making ourselves well and trying to figure out where we need to go as a couple. And I'm going to start by getting myself the support I need in this Betrayal and Beyond group. The other thing about like dismissing concerns, that can be really painful. And so, getting to the point where you can write down how things are making you feel, creating language to be able to articulate that this is what was said, this is how it hurts me, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to do to take care of myself and create safety and sanity for myself in the meantime is really important. And sometimes when we're in trauma, our brain is all in pain and offline and our language is all jumbled. And so it's important to have that support system to be able to filter those thoughts through and figure out what is it I'm really asking for, and be able to kind of verbally process with some other women that understand where you're at, and then take that one or two asks that you have to your spouse and be able to clearly say, this is what I need and why, so that we don't get in that trap of feeling like I'm trying to express how I'm feeling, and then he's meeting me with defensiveness or even minimizing or gaslighting my feelings, and then I'm just left feeling hopeless. Because the truth is, he may meet your request or whatever it is you're sharing with him with defensiveness or gaslighting or minimizing. But you having a plan and knowing that that may happen, and then what you're going to do if it does happen is really important, because it helps you to feel like you still have choices and that there still can be hope for your life to be different regardless of what he chooses. So get into group. It's okay to not go on vacation. And yes, honor your feelings and your hesitation.
Yeah. One of the things about the Betrayal and Beyond curriculum is that, yes, the reason why you're in the group and the foundation of the curriculum is focused on betrayal trauma, but there's so much more in it. Yeah. There's so much more that comes from just helping women be able to identify the difference between their thoughts and feelings, and to be able to identify their communication style, which is huge, and to give them the courage to be able to say things out loud, to even have a group where you can say, this conversation has happened over and over and over with my husband. And what I would like to be able to say is this. And so it gives you that space to practice saying things out loud, especially practice saying things that are really uncomfortable out loud. And I mean, it just really does a lot more things to help support and encourage and even empower betrayed partners on their healing journey. So I agree that getting into group would be an excellent first step.
Yeah, and the other thing that you made me think of, Heather, we did do an episode on gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll drop those in the show notes. I was trying to think of what episode number it was. I'm not sure, but we'll put it in the notes. And I think that will help with that portion of your question where you're saying that he dismisses your concerns and it's the same as how he acts with his mom. And so just
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself that language and that knowledge and like you're saying, understanding, what it is that you need.
Yeah. All right. Our next question says, my husband denies being addicted to pornography despite struggling with it since he was 17. Although he's made progress, I feel like we're stuck in a cycle where he's unable to handle my pain because of his own. We've tried counseling, but he often complains, and we can't seem to talk about past issues without him getting angry or emotionally distant. I'm tired of accommodating without change, and I feel alone in my pain. What can I do to break this cycle and deepen our emotional connection? This is really something we hear quite often from betrayed partners, is that because they can recognize that their addicted spouse is going through all of these different things and going through their own pain, they're unable to hear or handle what the betrayed partner needs to say out loud. And it is something that is normal. I mean, betrayed partners, you have a right to say how you're feeling out loud and have it not dismissed, have your spouse not become defensive. And yet there's a reality that takes place when couples end up entering recovery and healing journeys at the same time, that for a while it tends to make things worse. And I know that sounds interesting, but it makes things worse because the addict spouse is now having to live without all of their coping mechanisms that they had beforehand. And the betrayed partner is just reeling and raw from their new reality. And so it can be really, really disheartening and take time to kind of disrupt that cycle that you have going and put new practices in place. And so I think too, counseling, did she say that it doesn't really work, or that they've
Yeah,
tried
I've tried.
counseling? Yeah. And so I would still recommend, if it wasn't pure desire counseling, I would do the 15-minute free consultation, because our clinical team is trained specifically to work with sex addiction and with betrayal trauma. And so I would reach out and do a consultation there. And then also I would definitely get into group, because I think that group is going to help you be able to develop tools and language and really the strength and confidence that you need as a betrayed partner to be able to say the things that you need to say out loud, and even be able to say, in the midst of having those conversations, be able to not take on his struggles, but be able to say, you know what, that's something different. That's a different conversation. This is how I'm feeling because of the betrayal, and I need to be able to say this out loud. And a Betrayal and Beyond group, again, is going to give you that safe space to say things out loud.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know for my husband, and this is very common with lots of strugglers, is that their spouse being hurt or angry or upset then becomes a trigger for them in the way of like I'll take my husband for example. There's shame lies from his childhood that
Mm-hmm.
he is not good enough, that he's a disappointment. And so even though him relapsing is absolutely a disappointment, it still is. It can then cloud them so much because these are like core wounds of their own,
Mm-hmm.
and then it keeps them from taking the ownership that they need to take. And so I've had conversations with my husband in the past about, you know, he would say something, well, I didn't want to talk about it because it just makes me feel bad to see how upset you are or how hurt. And I'm like, you should feel bad. Like what has happened is horrible. And so learning for the struggler needs to learn to sit with those bad feelings
Mm-hmm.
and then also have a plan for themselves where they don't spiral and then want to use their same old coping behaviors to cover up those bad feelings. So it's a growing experience for them to realize that their actions have consequences, because up
Mm-hmm.
until they got caught, they were probably doing these things that were harmful and not having any consequences other than maybe feeling distant, some shame, those internal consequences. And now they're faced with those real consequences that are hurting other people, and it's hard for them. I mean, in the same way as, you know, when I make a mistake and I hurt somebody, I end up feeling bad about it, but they need somebody to help them realize it's appropriate for you to feel bad. And now what are
Mm-hmm.
we going to do going forward? Because those bad feelings often are what they need in order to motivate them to want to change. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
like feeling this bad seeing my spouse hurting. So I need to change. And it doesn't sound like he's doing that on his own. And so like Heather said, continue to seek help and the right kind of help. So pure
Mm-hmm.
desire, this is what we're trained to do. We're trained to see it. We do it all day, every day. And don't give up because you've tried some things that didn't work, but keep going and trying to find somebody that can help you. And then if he won't, you continue to stick through it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Our last question says, my husband is doing well in recovery, but I'm struggling to move forward. It's been almost 3 years since D Day, and while he's committed to change, I can't shake the fear of being hurt again. I don't know if I love him anymore and worry that staying might worsen my health. Should I keep trying, or is it time to let go for my own well being? In this question, she doesn't really say anything about her health or expand on that. And yet, at the same time, it's really hard to know, because if you're if your health is something that's life threatening and staying in this situation is going to worsen that, then definitely you'd want to be seeking professional medical help for sure. Um, and also, I would say counseling. If you haven't done counseling already, I would definitely do that, because it sounds like if she can say, my husband is doing well, but I'm struggling, then it seems like she might need some extra support. So even, and it doesn't say whether or not they're in group or not, but even if she's in a Betrayal and Beyond group, if the extent of what she's physically experiencing is causing her health issues, then she might also need professional help, like a counselor or somebody else, even outside of group. Um, but I think that this question really does bring to light the symptoms and the reality of what happens when somebody's experiencing betrayal trauma, because it can just be devastating on so many levels, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all relationally. It just really does have a serious impact, and it's something that needs to be taken seriously.
Mhm. Yeah, it took me over a decade to realize how serious I needed to be about the negative impact on my
Mm-hmm.
health with these kinds of situations, and that you kind of have to do anything and everything to make sure you protect yourself and keep yourself okay, and
Mm-hmm.
with my autoimmune disease, I have all kinds of things flare up, but one of the things that's happened in the past is losing a bunch of hair. And then recently, I felt really anxious about a situation. And I was thinking, I feel exactly the same way I did, like that tight knot in my stomach, the tightness in my chest, the rapid pulse. Um, I was thinking, I feel like I did when I lost my hair, and I do not want to lose more hair. Like it was a
Mm-hmm.
very obviously tangible, visible example of how stress was impacting my body. And then to be so proactive in making sure to put the things in place that you like, okay, I need to pause today. I need to go on a walk. I need to talk to my friend. I need to practice some deep breathing. I need to get what's in my head out. I need to go have some
Mhm.
joy today. I need to get in bed early. I need to avoid triggering things like movies, social media, like protect yourself like you would a child that's in harm's way and say, none of this can enter my mind right now because I don't want to feel the damage of this. And when we've been living like that chronically, it can feel so daunting to change those things. But once you get out of that a little bit and you experience what it feels like to not live in that constant anxiety and pain, then
Mhm.
when you're maybe triggered and go back, you think, I cannot believe I used to live like this all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it is something to take serious. So just staying stagnant in a relationship is very depressing. And so um I just, echo to get in a group, get a counselor or something to where you can start processing what I need and ask yourself the question, if my life looked exactly like it does today,
Mhm.
if it looks like this every day for the rest of my life, would I be okay with that? Because without doing anything, without taking any action steps, if he's not working on his own recovery, your life is going to look exactly the same. If not, probably more likely it would be worse. Your health gets worse. Everything gets worse when we don't address it. And so
Mhm.
those are the questions I ask myself when I'm up against staying the same or having to make a decision where I have to do some hard work or make some hard choices. Do I want this to be my reality every single day? Or did God create me for more, to wake up
Mhm.
with joy and purpose? And what do I need to do to get to that point? So it is hard when she ends it with saying, should I keep trying or is it time to let go? We can't specifically ask if you should keep trying. Well, you should
Mhm.
keep trying to take care of yourself no matter what. But by trying, meaning staying the same, no, don't keep
Mhm.
things the same. Keep
Mhm.
trying and keep pursuing your own health. And then I think through that, you'll have a better idea of what you need to do relationally.
And sometimes even she doesn't mention if she has kids or not, but I think sometimes in a season that's like this, that's so challenging, that it's okay to say no to things, like
Mhm.
to say no to volunteering at church, or to say no to, helping in kids' church, or say no to some of these other things. So you have more margin in your life so you can pursue group and counseling and make sure that you're getting an adequate amount of self care every day. And if it means that she has to go to doctor's appointments or whatever it
Mhm.
is, to say no to some of these other things that have been part of your life so that you can have space for your healing, it's okay to do that.
Yeah, I love that you said the margin because you actually have to factor in that margin just to have a slow brain. Like sometimes you're
Mm-hmm.
so like out of it or feeling hurt that you just need to move through your day a little slower without rushing from one thing to the other. Recently, I was like getting ready to pour my steel oats into my coffee because that's just where my brain is at right now with so much going on. And and I need to realize that I have to have the margin that my brain is not firing on its normal
Mm-hmm.
caliber, like the it's not running on all cylinders right now. And so to be able to just recognize that and verbalize it and say, I need to lighten my load where I can,
Yep.
because I have this other stuff going on that needs addressed or just needs a slower pace is okay to do. Okay, well, these were good questions, hard questions, but we hope even in the midst of it being painful and hard questions that we can give you some encouragement, a feeling that you do have choices and that there is hope. So we appreciate you joining this conversation and trusting us. We think if you are thinking about it, we should be talking about it. So continue to send us your questions to unfiltered@puredesire.org. And if you found this episode helpful or encouraging, make sure that you share it with a friend.